Good morning. My name is Cindy Waterson. I'm a contract attorney for the Frank D. Lanterman Regional Center. I am working with the KYRC at Lanterman to produce a series of modules discussing how to plan for your loved one with special needs. We have a module on conservatorships, on public benefits. Today we're talking about special needs trust. So what is a special needs trust? A special needs trust is a document. Typically people establish a special needs trust through part of their personal estate plan. Doesn't need to be, it can be completely separate from an estate plan. You don't even need an estate plan to establish a special needs trust, but often they're done together. So a special needs trust is a legal document that sets forth legally binding instructions concerning your loved one with special needs. And the purpose of a special needs trust is to let we'll say your child for these purposes, to let your child have assets, not directly, but in a trust, and which will preserve their eligibility for public benefits. So if your child is receiving SSI, Medi-Cal, they may have assets in a special needs trust and still be eligible to receive their public benefits. So in the trust, you can establish a management team. So have provisions that after you're gone, how will your child's assets be managed? You can direct personal care and advocacy for your child. There's a lot of things you can do with a special needs trust. And there are different special needs trusts, and we will talk about those. In the past, people have done other things other than a special needs trust. And these are some of them that really are not recommended. So one of them is an outright inheritance. So if you give your child if you give your assets directly to your child, let's say you write a will and you leave all your money to your child, they will lose, or it'll at least be affected, their SSI and Medi-Cal. So that's really not the best way. You can leave money in what's called a non-qualifying trust. And what that means is it doesn't have the language of a special needs trust, so it doesn't protect their public benefits. Many people in the past have disinherited their child, so they left the money to other people, or they just left their child out knowing that they would receive SSI and just hope that they didn't need anything extra. And the last way is to leave their assets or leave your assets to your child's siblings and instruct the siblings to take care of your child. And that's really putting the other siblings in a bad position. The money is actually subject to the other siblings' creditors. If they pass, then who gets the assets? Generally, it would be, their spouses. They may not have the time or the inclination to take care of their disabled sibling. And the money also could be lost in a divorce if they were married and divorced. So that's really wrought with, with lots of problems. So we don't recommend any of these type of things. Special needs trusts they are complicated. There's very specific language that both Medi-Cal and SSI require in order to be a valid special needs trust. And if this language is not adhered to and in your trust, your child could lose their SSI benefits or even be subject to a huge payback. You should always obtain professional assistance from an attorney who knows about special needs language. It's really important. So real quickly, here's a quick glance at public benefits. And it makes a real difference what type of benefits your child is getting to know whether or not they need a special needs trust and perhaps what kind of special needs trust. So if your child, and this is the The means tested public benefits is the column that most of our regional center clients find themselves in. They receive SSI benefits due to their disability. And if they're eligible for SSI benefits, then they're categorically eligible for Medi-Cal in California. So these are benefits that need to be protected, and a special needs trust would be the best way to go here. Entitlement benefits is SSDI, Social Security Disability, and Medicare. Those are not means-tested public benefits. And what I mean by means-tested is that your child cannot have more than a certain amount of assets to be eligible to receive these. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But going back to the middle column, SSDI is based on a work history, unable to work due to a disability, but the person has a work history. So this is not means tested. They don't look at how much assets the person has. And then the last one is Section 8, which does have some asset limitations and veterans benefits. But again, most of the people that we work with through the Regional Center are in the means tested public benefit range. If your child is receiving SSI, SSI is given to people with disabilities in order to pay for food and shelter. In the year 2020, this year, the federal benefit rate is $783 a month. In California, we are lucky enough to have that supplemented by another $160. So our SSI recipients can receive a maximum of $943.72 for an individual. If they're married, they can even receive more. Depending on their living arrangements, if they live in a group home, if they live with mom and dad who are supplementing their needs, or if they're married, these things can change the amount that they're going to receive. So this is the resource test to receive SSI. So accountable resource limits is $2,000. So your child cannot own more than $2,000 in assets. If it's an eligible couple where they're both eligible for SSI, that goes up to $3,000. Not all resources are countable resources. There are some exempt resources, so your child can own a home of any value, an automobile of any value. They can have personal items, furniture, clothing, personal items. They can even own a burial plot and certain life insurance contracts. There's some restrictions on that, but these are all things that are not counted towards that $2,000. So what steps should you take today? So let's assume that you would like to leave your child some money, either at your passing, or you've come into some money and you want to make sure that some of this goes to your child in case they need to do that. So what you can do is establish a third-party special needs trust for your child. So a third-party special needs trust is one of 3 types of special needs trust that we're going to talk about, and this is the most common. The third-party special needs trust is the best method for providing instructions on leaving inheritance to your child. And it's called a third-party special needs trust because it's established with the assets of a third party. So you cannot establish this trust with your child's funds. So if your child receives money from a gift from grandma or a medical malpractice claim, something like that, that money is already in your child's name, and that money cannot be put into a third-party special needs trust. So a third-party special needs trust can be established with you establishing the trust and then putting the money directly into that trust, or establishing your estate plan, and in your estate plan you say, I'm leaving 100% of my assets to my child's trustee of his third-party special needs trust. grandparents can do the same thing. So again, this has to be established with money from a third party. Now, what if your child has assets of their own? As I said, perhaps a lawsuit, personal injury suit, medical malpractice, something like that, or someone has already given them money. And you wanted to protect their public benefits and still let them have the access to that money. That can be established through what's called a first party special needs trust. First party means the child's assets, first party. A first party special needs trust maintains the eligibility for public benefits. It's established by your child himself or herself, if she has the capacity to do so, a parent, a grandparent, a conservator, or the court. The trust must be set up for the benefit, the beneficiary's primary benefit. So this is not a trust that you can put $1 million in and then to support the family. This has to be for the beneficiary's primary benefit. It can only be established for someone under the age of 65. If your child or another loved one is over the age of 65, there's a different type of trust you can look at. But a first party special needs trust cannot be established if your child is already 65. And the state must be reimbursed from the trust for all medical expenses on the death of your child. So if your child passes away and there is still money in the first party special needs trust, Medi-Cal must be notified immediately, and they have the right to put a lien on the trust for any expenses they've paid out for your child for the lifetime of your child. This is called a Medi-Cal payback provision, and it must be inserted into a first party special needs trust. So the third type of trust is it's called a pooled special needs trust. And the slide says if an individual special needs trust doesn't make sense, a pooled trust may be the solution. So why wouldn't a regular special needs trust not make sense? Well, as I said, maybe your child is over the age of 65. They wouldn't be able to establish a regular first party special needs trust. Sometimes the amount is very small, and a first party special needs trust may not be, it may be too expensive to establish that special needs trust. You may also want to use a pooled trust because there's really no one, you have a small family, and there's no one in your family that you're comfortable managing a trust. So you may want to look to a pooled special needs trust to do that. So pooled trusts are run by nonprofit agencies. There are sub-accounts within the pooled trust to handle each individual accounts. And you can test out a pooled trust during the lifetime by joining the trust. So what that means is you can join the trust, maybe put a little bit of money in, so the parents can kind of watch how that works and make sure that that's what they want for their child. Medicaid and Social Security law permit, this is called a pooled trust, which is also called a D4C. You may hear that, a D4C or pooled trust for beneficiaries with special needs. And again, these trusts pool the resources of many beneficiaries, and those resources are managed by the nonprofit association. Unlike disability trust, individual trust, which may be created only for those under the age 65, pooled trusts are eligible for beneficiaries of any age and may be created by the beneficiary himself. So pooled trust, if you want more information about that, there's several pooled trusts, both in California and nationally. And you don't have to join a California pooled trust. If you find a national trust that you like, you can join that as well. You may look at specialneedsanswers.com for a complete list of special needs trust, for pooled special needs trust. Some of these that I've listed here, well, these are specific California trusts, and some of these are specific for, they're tailored specifically for regional center clients. The Golden State Pool Trust, the Good Shepherd Fund. Good Shepherd Fund also provides for case management services. Jewish Los Angeles Special Needs Trust was created by a parent of a regional center client, and they work specifically with regional center families. The Proxy Parents Special Needs Trust Foundation of San Diego and the Master Trust of California. The Master Trust is also specifically for regional center clients and is actually administered through or by the Inland Counties Regional Center. But again, look at the directory on the website I've listed and call them or look at their websites. They all have different fee structures. They have different services that they provide. So you can find one that meets your needs and the needs of your child. So when you're looking at establishing a special needs trust, there's a lot of things that you can think about of how you can set this up. And one of the things is to select a management team. The most important thing to do is to think about who the trustee will be. The trustee is the person who administers the trust. They are legally responsible for making sure the trust is administered to meet all the SSI and Medi-Cal language, to benefit the beneficiary. This person can be an individual, so it can be a family member. A lot of families, especially if the special needs trust is established in their estate plan, typically mom and dad are the first trustees or the initial trustees. But even if you're the initial trustee, you have to think about, well, when we're gone, who's going to take over? So you need to think about what's called a successor trustee. So the trustee can be an individual, like I said, it can be mom and dad. It can be a professional. There are professional fiduciaries. In California, you can look on the state website for California professional fiduciaries. There's something called PFAC, Professional Fiduciaries Association of California, that lists all the different ones and what their specialties are. So you can hire a professional, or you can name a professional as a successor trustee. I have clients that have met different professionals and found someone they liked and named that person as a successor trustee after the parents are gone. So that's the most important and always the hardest decision for the family to make when they're trying to put this team together. The other two groups listed here are optional. A trustee is required. You can't have a trust without a trustee. The other two are optional, but are really good in protecting the trust. The first is called a Trust Advisory Committee. You'll also hear the word TAC. It's a really good check and balance for the trustee. So the Trust Advisory Committee is typically a group of people between 2 and 5 people. They're people that either know your child the best, so they know what type of distributions would be most appropriate for your child, and they know what you as the grantor, the person who established this trust, wanted for your child. So what were your wishes? They're not legally binding, so they don't have a legal role. They are advisory only, Trust Advisory Committee. And then the second one is a trust protector. Let me go back to Trust Advisory Committee. So not only is it someone who may know your child well, but you may want to put someone on there that knows public benefits well. So you have different people in this team that have different roles. I've had clients that have put, their regional center SC on. not the best idea because SCs move around and their caseload changes. But I understand the importance of having the regional center involved as well. So it's something you could talk to your regional center about that. But there are also professionals that specialize in public benefits, or even really good friends. There are advocates, personal advocates out there that might be able to do that, that you could name as a member of your trust advisory committee. Again, these are non-binding, it's just advisory. Someone that the trustee, or a group that the trustee can rely on in to make sure that they're making appropriate distributions from the trust. The trust protector is a legally binding position. This is someone who has a lot of power. They back up the trust advisory committee. So if the trust advisory committee has problems making decisions, the trust protector will usually step in. This person can often modify the trust if the terms are no longer applicable to current laws. So if the laws change, the trust protector can go to court and get the trust changed. Many times people put in their trust that the trust protector has the ability to change trustees. So if the trustee's not working, the trust protector can go to court and ask for a change of trustees. So this person has a lot of power, and you have to select this person very carefully. But these are ways of protecting the special needs trust, typically and most especially after you're gone. So responsibilities of the trustee it is their duty to invest and manage the assets of the trust, to distribute the funds as applicable to SSI and Medi-Cal rules, to keep accurate books, to file any tax returns, trust returns. They can hire advocates and care managers to help them. They may need a tax accountant. They may need a care manager to help with case management of your child. They also have personal liability. So if they do not properly distribute the funds, if they steal the money, they are personally liable for their actions as a trustee. So again, it's important, really important to choose this person wisely. Go back for just a second. When you're looking at trustees, one little tidbit of advice is I usually do not recommend putting siblings on as the trustee of a special needs trust. Your child's siblings may be, wonderful with money and love their sibling, to death, but it puts them in a bad position. Often, the beneficiary, so your child with the disability, the beneficiary may want a distribution from the trust. They may say, trustee, I want a Rolls Royce. I have enough money. I want that Rolls Royce. And the trustee is going to say, no, this trust is going to last you the rest of your life. I'm not buying a trust. I'm not buying a Rolls Royce for you. And then that puts them at odds. And so rather than having the sibling as the bad guy, it's often better to have them as a trusted part of the trust advisory committee, maybe even a trust protector. But as the trustee, it puts them in a bad position. So just little words of advice. So we talked about trust and the 3 different types of trust. We have the third-party special needs trust, which is the assets of a third person, not your child. So anybody but your child wants to give your child money, that money should go into a third-party special needs trust rather than being given to your child directly. The first-party special needs trust is if your child comes into money or assets on their own, that money would have to be then transferred to a first-party special needs trust. First-party special needs trusts have more complicated language and more complicated distribution standards. If there's a conservatorship already established for your child, you have to go through court to establish the first-party special needs trust, and then you'll have to file accountings with the court. there's not a lot of choice. If you need the first party special needs trust, you'll need to do that. But you need to know that first party special needs trusts are often much more complicated. And then there's the pooled trust. Many of the pooled trust will accept both first party and third party trust. Some will only accept one or the other. And again, so overall, special needs trusts are a way of protecting your child's public benefits if they're on SSI and Medi-Cal, and still be able to receive and have the benefit of some assets outside of that. And so these, as I said before, the special needs trust, or the SSI, is given for food and shelter. So the special needs trust distributions can be used for items that are not, food or shelter. So that doesn't mean they can't use the special needs trust for an occasionally going out to dinner. And I think it can be used for housing under some pretty strict parameters. So really check with authority, check with an attorney or an advocate who really knows SSI before you use special needs trust for housing. Perhaps your child needs a computer for education, or some pre-vocational training, or anything like that to do with their disability that perhaps the regional center is not funding, or you need to enhance whatever you're receiving from other places. So that's the purpose of the special needs trust. So I'm going to move on to this final topic. Is called the ABLE account. This is very new, relatively. ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. It was passed into law in 2014. It was just enacted, the California rules, just last year in 2018. It's similar to a 529 educational plan, but it's for persons with disabilities. So it's a way of either your child with his own money or others giving this money to this plan, and then that money can be distributed for your child's disability needs. It's a pretty cool thing. So give you kind of some of the I'm reading issues, give you some of the details here. So who can use an ABLE account? It can only be used by persons who have diagnosed with a disability before the age of 26. Now in California, Regional Center regulations are before the age of 18. So if you're a Regional Center client, typically you would already fit into this. But you still have to prove that to join. Who can fund? Anyone. This could be your child's money, this could be your money, it could be grandma wanting to give a gift every year. You can only have, or your child can only have, one ABLE account. So you can't have, a bunch of accounts in different banks. Who can control it? If your child has the ability to manage his own assets, then your child actually can control their own account. If you are the legal conservator, then you would be the one to do that. Who inherits on the death of the person? This slide says Medicaid or Medi-Cal, well, Medicaid first, and then it can go to your child's heirs. But see CalAble. CalAble is the name of the California account. Now you can join ABLE accounts from any state in the country that allows out-of-state account holders. But we have a specific California account with specific California rules. It's called CalAble. And in CalAble, they were able to establish this without the Medicaid payback provision, which means that Medi-Cal does not put a lien on this account at the death of your child. So if you have a CalAble account, then if your child passes and there's money left in the CalAble account, then that would go to their heirs. So the important thing is how much can you fund in a year? There is a $15,000 limit, which is the annual gift exemption. So this is a congregate, so $15,000 a year is the maximum that can go into the ABLE account. It is gift tax free. So if grandma wants to leave $15,000 a year to your child, this is gift tax free. There is a limit on how much you can put in the account. Currently, you can save, or your child can save up to $100,000 in a CalAble account before SSI is affected. There's no income tax, and distributions. That's one of the important things. How are distributions made? So distributions out of the CalAble account. So how do you take the money out of the account? It can be used for qualified disability expenses. And there's hours to discuss what a qualified disability expenses is as it's defined by the government, but I'll give you a quick overview. Again, funds in the ABLE account can be used to purchase qualified disability-related expenses, a QDE. And a QDE is any expense related to your child's disability that assists them in increasing and or maintaining health, independence, and or quality of life. So, education. You can use the distributions from an ABLE account for tuition, for any type of school, books, supplies, computers, anything having to do with their education. And that does include tuition. Employment, cost related to gaining and maintaining a job. So for training, do they need pre-vocational training? Entrepreneurship. So if your child wants to start up a business, we have a couple of bakeries, I believe, in Southern California that some of our clients have started. Benefits planning, so they can, hire advocates to assist them in benefits planning. Transportation, they can use distributions from the ABLE account for mass transit, a bus pass, to purchase or maintain a vehicle. They can buy a car, they can maintain that car. If they need to move, they can use that to buy a moving van, to rent a moving van, or to hire movers, taxis, and then ride sharing. These are all appropriate distributions. Health and wellness. You can buy health insurance through the CalAble distributions. Mental health, medical, vision, and dental. So medical issues that Medi-Cal may not provide, you can purchase through this account. Habilitation and rehabilitation services. Durable medical equipment that Medi-Cal's not providing. Therapies, respite care, and nutritional management. All these things can be used. Housing, rent and the purchase of a house or maintain a house. But again, you need to be careful, and you need to receive professional advice before you do this, because using your ABLE assets to pay for rent can affect your SSI. So make sure that you get advice before you do that. And how do you open accounts? I understand, I haven't done it, but I understand it's easy. Visit calable.ca.gov, and it gives lots and lots of information. There's forms. You can actually apply online. So there's the phone number, and there's the website of all the information that you would need to open the CalAble account. The CalAble account it's restricted to $15,000 a year. So if your child comes into more money, it's not the only vehicle that you can use. You'd still need to look at a special needs trust, but it's certainly a good something to add to the special needs trust, to possibly have both of them, because your child can access the CalAble account. So it's a wonderful vehicle, another tool in your toolbox in managing your child's assets. So that was a lot of information about special needs trust, how to manage your child's assets. You will need more information about public benefits to make these decisions. And again, I do urge you to get professional advice before establishing a special needs trust, or especially if you're using an ABLE account, if you're looking at any rent subsidies, that type of thing. So it was a pleasure talking to you today. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. And we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.